All right, UFC 304 in Manchester, England, and you hinted at it in our intro.
Yep.
There is an and new, so a big main event.
I don't think I hinted at it. I think I just straight up said it.
think we did say it. Belal Muhammad, remember the name. A couple big finishes on the main card. Entertaining main card. Entertaining card overall. Bunch of decisions, though, so there are some haters out there talking shit on the card. Before we get to the main card, though, Alex, before we dive into, this and new, some of the big finishes, how about you give us a little recap of the prelims?
A little breakdown, a little quick recap. All right, let's jump in. Let's start it off first with Mama B, Shauna Bannon. She defeated Alice Ardelon
First career win,
by split decision.
UFC win.
Now, despite Ardelin's ground efforts, Bannon's striking output and damage sealed her that deal. Moving on to the next fight, and an early KO, Mick Parkin knocked out Lukas Breski. It was great. It was a way for Mick Parkin to remain undefeated. He's now 10-0. Breski lost 4 out of 5 in the UFC.
Yeah, tough. That might be the last time for a little while we see him in the UFC.
Yeah, maybe he gets another quick one because he didn't take a whole bunch of damage other than getting knocked out. Maybe they put him up to ragdoll just to finish out his contract. You never know. Going to the next fight, another quick finish. Sam Patterson used his 4-inch height advantage.
Oh.
What? No, I'm getting there.
Never mind.
Just wait. He used his 4-inch height advantage and his 8-inch reach advantage to submit Kiefer Crosby.
There's a lot of inches coming out in here.
With an arm triangle. Now, my big key points for this fight, Crosby was choked by an 8-inch reacher. That's all I'm going to say. Moving on.
Join the club. Welcome to the club.
Modestas Bukauskas won by submission.
What was his name?
Modestas Bukauskas. He won by
Bukaku.
submission. There you go. Third round, arm triangle over Marcin Prachnio. That was deep into the third. His efforts from Bukauskas proved that he was just too much for Prachnio, and Prachnio was tapped by another arm triangle. So that sucks for him. Then we move to the first of 7 straight decisions.
Let's go.
This is the start of the run that Dana said he will not be increasing any future payouts right at the last minute. If he talks about it beforehand, that's one thing, but he's not going to do it last minute anymore. Oban Elliott had more control time, more damaging shots over Preston Parsons. He won by decision. That would be Oban Elliott.
Shout out Wales.
Now, Muhammad Mukayev and Manel Kape, they had a Twitter beef.
They had a real beef. They fought each other.
At the Apex, in Vegas at the PI, they had an altercation. In the Fighter
Mukayev
Hotel week of UFC 304, they had an altercation. They had security in the ring, almost not letting them do a face-off.
Trying to hold each other back. Hold them back.
And then this fight ended with 30 or 40 landed strikes from each guy.
Did you see?
With Muhammad Mukayev winning, remaining 13-0 undefeated, or moving to 13-0 undefeated, and then is now released from the UFC.
Not officially. Dana did say he was. But did you see Dana's quote about the fight overall? He said anytime the fighters are like this, where you have to hold them back and they get in altercations, when they actually get in the ring or an octagon, this is how it always ends up.
Yep.
But yeah, it was, even the commentators were like, y'all are going to act like this and then
you're not going to fight?
And then nobody's throwing punches.
And then you're going to hug it out at the end as if none of the past weeks or months have happened. It's absolutely ridiculous. But either way, Muhammad Mukayev won.
I think it is a little harsh for Dana to say he's not going to. He's undefeated and he's legitimately
and he's
could
young.
get a title shot next. He's only 23.
Yeah, he's young.
And Dana's like, good luck in the PFL. It's literally what he said.
I respect Dana for it. All right, moving on. We got Jake Hadley. He moves to 11-3. He got a unanimous decision win over Cowlin Luffren. He outmoved and upstruck the boxer Cowlin Luffren. He won by decision. Hadley's hands had the Irishman shooting and missing 7 out of 8 of those takedowns. So had the boxer shooting for takedowns, that's never a good look if you're trying to win a fight.
We'll come back to that later.
Right. There you go. And then Molly McCann was upset by Bruna Brazil. This was an unfortunate one, but
I don't know how the odds makers made the odds in this way.
Honestly, it's one
Brazil
of those things.
There was levels to this, and Brazil was a level above Molly McCann in this fight.
Right. Brazil outclassed Molly McCann. She defended takedowns. She landed better shots and then landed takedowns of her own to just pave the way for her own decision.
Molly's tough, though. To give her credit, she's tough. But
and I think she's probably finally at the best shape of her career. She's been with the nutritionist and all that. She's finally at like the right weight, the right fighting style for her. I think she's just kind of going to go up from here. But moving on to the final of the prelims, Nathaniel Wood closed out with a unanimous decision win over Daniel Pineda. I think this was a good one.
It was an entertaining fight. Good performance from Wood.
Yep, and it moved him to 4 wins and 1 loss in his last 5. That's impressive. It's just kind of stacking him up in the featherweight division and, moving him forward. But let's jump right into the main card. I said, it's hot. I'm trying not to die in here.
Main card started with 2 exciting fighters. Maybe not the most exciting fight. Arnold Allen, Giga Chikadze. Two guys that strike well, and it was almost like their striking kind of canceled each other out.
Yep. It was a fight where, while it went to the decision, it was still an impressive fight.
Yeah, it was an impressive fight. You could tell both guys very skilled. Arnold Allen ended up getting the unanimous decision win. Well-deserved. Chikadze, not a bad performance from him, but it looked like Arnold Allen just had a little bit more.
I think we were right with Giga Chikadze. His loss to Calvin Kattar kind of exposed him. Not to say that he's not a good fighter, but he's game plan. You can game plan against him. That's what Arnold Allen did. He stuck to the game plan. He knew that if he could weather the kicks in the first round, if he could weather the storm of the first round, Chikadze would get tired. Not like, out of breath, can't fight anymore tired, but he would slow down significantly, and that he did. Second and third round went to Arnold Allen.
Arnold Allen needed this win, too. He had 2 straight losses coming in, both against top guys, so not a bad thing. He moves to 11-2 in the UFC now, so, he is right. He's still right in the thick of things. He's proved he's a top-level fighter.
Yep. So if we're talking who's next for Arnold Allen, he asked previously in the past for Yair or Brian Ortega. Now, Brian Ortega is fighting Diego Lopez at the Sphere. So
supposedly.
Let me lay it out. We got Yair Rodriguez as
I love him versus Yair.
We have the loser of Ortega versus Lopez as
I agree with that, but I think that's a little bit long of a wait for Arnold Allen.
But he just broke his hand, so he may need that weight.
He may need it.
Or
I got a wild card.
Volk.
That's what I was about to say, Volkanovski.
Now, when they mentioned that Volk is thinking he's gonna get a title shot if Ilya and Max fight, with winner of that, whatever, Arnold Allen just straight up said, yeah, he deserves it. So it almost seems as like he doesn't even want to fight Volk.
Well, I think he would, but I just think I don't think Volk would take this fight. I don't think
Arnold Allen is trying to jump to a Volk level fight. I think he's trying to march his way to a title shot for himself.
I think Yair's the fight to make. I think it'd be an exciting fight. You could headline you could either headline a fight night, or you could do it like the main card, like the first or second fight on the main card.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of a pay-per-view. Yes. So I love Yair Rodriguez for Arnold Allen.
All right, I got that one locked in. Let's go to, in my opinion, a surprise decision. Maybe the odds makers saw it differently, but Gregory Rodriguez won 30-27 on all 3 judges'
RoboCop. I'm so glad my gut was saying RoboCop.
Yeah, we talked about it beforehand.
I looked at the stats. I was like, I'm going to pick CDL. Last minute, change to RoboCop. That's my gut. And, man, RoboCop delivered.
Yeah, so Gregory RoboCop Rodriguez defeated Christian Leroy Duncan by unanimous decision. It was a great fight by Rodriguez. Honestly, he did what he needed to do. And somebody with a BJJ background, he's won a lot of his fights by striking. So that's one of those interesting things. But he landed 4 out of 12 takedowns here. He got a lot of control time. It looks like 8 minutes. But
he proved he's well-rounded.
Yeah, he's good.
He can win anyway.
He's very, very good.
And he's just moving up the ladder now.
So next he wants a top 15 opponent. This is one of those where it's like, I'm kind of surprised he hasn't gotten a top 15 opponent already.
Well, I think he's guaranteed one now.
So my options for him to fight would be somebody like the 15th ranked Chris
Fluffy
Curtis.
Hernandez?
No, Chris Curtis.
Well, Chris Curtis just got booked a fight.
When?
Versus Kevin Holland.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
So I like Fluffy Hernandez.
Or what about
Michelle Pereira?
Okay.
I would like him versus Michelle Pereira. I think that would be entertaining.
I was going with different fighters. Cal Baralho or Paulo Costa.
Paulo Costa, I think that would be a nice step up for him. I don't know if Paulo takes that fight. It's hard to get Paulo to show up for a fight.
Who did you say?
Big name.
Michelle Pereira.
Michelle Pereira. I like that fight. I like both guys entertaining, both Brazilian. I think both put on a show. I think that would be the most entertaining fight.
That is a good fight.
Out
of
the options he has.
Yeah, I like Michelle Pereira. I think that would be a fun one, a good fight. It would be interesting. Maybe get Rodriguez another knockout or, a surprise.
Pereira's been on a tear.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's go on to the next fight. King Green versus Patty the Batty. Patrick Pimblett.
I hinted at it earlier. A striker panicking and taking a takedown shot.
Yeah.
It's exactly what King Green did to Patty Pimblett.
Yeah, he caught one of those hard looping hands from Patty. Like, I think it was a left hand, and he immediately shot.
And Patty has had some entertaining. I mean, Patty is a better grappler than he is a striker, and I don't think people realize that. Look at his stats and look what he does to people.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Well, Patty ends up winning this by first-round submission. I think he choked out and popped King Green's arm all in one motion. It was not one motion, but all in one submission.
Yeah, it was an insane triangle leg choke with an arm bar attachment.
Well, he started with the guillotine,
so
then
how
as they were going
to that though.
That's what they were saying. Like he couldn't. But they started with the guillotine. He wraps his leg around as they're going down, sets up the triangle, gets the triangle. Looks like he's not going to get the triangle, so he quickly switches to the armbar. But he still has the triangle.
I was going to say, all the while he's tightening up his legs to see what he can get out of that.
Still has the triangle, so he ends up unconscious, still cranking on Bobby Green's arm. King Green, I'm sorry.
So, no, you can call him whatever you want after that disrespectful finish.
But what a finish by Patty Pimblett. Biggest win of his career. Definitely all the haters.
His first ranking, too.
His first ranking, and, you know, ever since the Jared Gordon fight, where he
got the split decision victory, where he arguably could have lost that fight. But
I think he did lose the fight, but he got the split decision win. He's been receiving a lot of hate. Then he got hate for some. He beat up Tony Ferguson, but didn't finish him. Received a lot of hate. Well, then he came out here, first round finish against Bobby Green.
How much hate do you think he's going to get now?
I think the internet loves him
UFC, now. He's becoming.
He's like 22-3, I think.
22
He's ranked now.
He's 29 yeyears old.
29 years old. Patty Pimblett, sky's the limit for him. He keeps getting better. This was a huge win for him.
He called out Renato Moicano.
Moicano has a fight booked. He said, win or lose, I'll fight Moicano. They've been kind of going back and forth. He's fighting BSD in Paris in a few weeks.
I even put BSD on the list.
I did too. I had Moicano, I had BSD, and then there's one that's been floating out there. It's a little wild card.
I'm going to say Rafael Fiziev.
I'm going to say Michael Chandler.
See, I don't see that happening. I don't see Mike waiting this long to fight Conor and then not waiting anymore.
Well, I think somebody's going to break the news to him that Conor's
never
not showing
fight
up. Yeah. Somebody's got to break the news. Patty has a following. Let him fight Patty.
Michael Chandler's going to be like 45 years old and be like, listen, we are lining up for UFC 479. We're boxing because Conor has no more arms due to the heavy drug abuse. We're boxing with legs only.
But realistically, I think Moicano's the fight to make.
Yeah,
First time Patty's called anybody out in the UFC, so I think that's something. He has a following. Dana White's called him a superstar, so that means he has a little bit of that Dana White privilege.
I respect waiting until you have a ranking to call somebody out because not to say you have to, but if you do, it's like, listen, I paid my dues finally. Yeah. I fought the fight. I did the tests. It's now my turn.
And Moicano's a guy. He's been on a tear lately. He's a funny guy. He's good on the mic. Those two together going against each other, the press conferences, all that, you could build a fight around. I think that's the fight to make.
And a little preview for that fight. If they book it, the only thing I'm going to be thinking about is that Jalen Turner almost knocked Moicano out in the first round. Tried to do a little walk-off, and then Moicano ended up getting the knockout in the third. So that's all I'm going to be thinking about. Patty ain't going to let off on that gas.
Yes, that'll be a good fight to make. Let's move on. Co-main event, first title fight of the night.
The big boys.
Technically interim, but let's all be real. This is the real heavyweight championship.
This is the only heavyweight currently people should care about. I get John Jones and all that is the GOAT.
That's like a one-off, let's be real. Even what they said after he wants to fight John Jones, that's never happened.
No.
Tom
John
Aspinall,
Jones, like Conor McGregor, will probably never fight again.
Tom Aspinall continues his unprecedented heavyweight tear, beats Curtis Blades first round. I mean, he does it to every heavyweight he fights. First round, I mean, it didn't even look like he got a clean hit. It was like a jab.
Does it ever?
It was a straight, knocked Curtis down, got ground and pound with the win.
But that's the thing, that exact thing you just said. He knocks you down, and then he just attacks. I've never seen somebody who weighs 255
he moves so fast.
pounds hit you with a little short jab or a left hook or whatever, send you. You know, you're hurt. Obviously, you're rocked. It's a big man just stunned you. But anybody else, any other heavyweights, could not explode like that to force the fight to finish that quickly.
His last 4 fights, all first round.
It's crazy.
None of them, if you add up all the time, aren't even 5 minutes for a round.
That's crazy.
He's just demolishing everybody. And Curtis Blades said, he put out a tweet later. He's like, "Yeah, I hit him once, and I kind of got excited, and I got out of my game plan." And Tom Aspinall's the guy. The only way you're gonna compete with him,
You gotta
you
beat
got to
him in
be
a
disciplined, and you
long,
got
grueling fight.
yes,
Yep.
because this guy has power. He has jiu-jitsu. He has the speed. He's likable. I love Tom Aspinall.
Likeable's a big credit, especially with the villain John Jones being up
Yes, and he even respectively called John Jones out after the fight.
there. Yeah, I got nothing against you, blood. No, he said mate.
Mate, but I think I'm better than you. I want
And-
to test myself.
And if you think you're better than me, there's only one way to decide. Like, that's
Yes.
a perfect call out. And he said the same thing with Stipe. He doesn't care who it is. If you think you're better than Tom Aspinall, test your mettle
But I mean, Tom Aspinall, he is quickly, yeah, I say slowly, he's quickly putting together one of the most unprecedented tears in heavyweight UFC history where he is just, nobody can touch the guy.
No.
Nobody is on his level at all right now. That's why the fight with John Jones, or Stipe, as you said, is so intriguing.
Yeah, because those are the best of all time. And they're still old enough to fight.
And they're still there to fight. I mean, he could be, we've said this throughout John Jones' career, but he could be the guy to beat John Jones, especially at this point.
I think he could beat John Jones in his prime, honestly.
John Jones was a smaller fighter in his prime, but
I know. I'm just saying,
But
give Batman enough prep time, he can do anything, right?
next fights, obviously we mentioned John Jones, we mentioned Stipe. The only other wild card that's been thrown out there, Alex Pereira. He moves up, goes for the Triple Crown. Him versus Pereira, that'd be a huge fight tonight.
It'd be a huge fight, but I just see Tom Aspinall walking through that man.
He's just so much bigger.
Yeah, like I get you can put on 20, 30 pounds and you're strong at technically heavyweight. Jonathan Almeida fights in the 230s in the division, so you don't have to put on a crazy amount of weight.
But this dude's 260, fast, nimble,
And
power,
powerful.
and he has a crazy ground game.
Yeah, it's like, what are you going to do? You can't just do like you just did to Jamal Hill and clip him, or Yuri and just clip. Like, you're not going to do this to a much bigger guy like that.
Yes, Tom Aspinall, I mean, the sky's the limit for him. He might be the biggest star in the UFC.
Right now, he's definitely the biggest draw for me.
Yeah, him and Pereira are my two guys.
All right, main event time.
Main event time, and
I'm excited. You're probably pissed.
I'm
Belal
not
got
pissed
some
that
hate.
Belal won. I'm pissed at
How he
Leon's
won?
performance.
Yeah, but-
obviously, before we get into it, Belal Muhammad, unanimous decision, well deserved, win over Leon Edwards. Kind of dominated him. You texted me this after the fight, or during the fight. This was exactly Leon Edwards' second fight against Kamaru Usman, except he didn't get a head kick knockout. He got dominated the whole fight.
And I'm not saying
Had a couple moments of success, but Belal was obviously the better fighter on the night.
that's how I felt about Belal ever since I started seeing Belal's fights. It's not even that he fights bad; he's just unimpressive. You know, there were fights where
He's unimpressive, but he's steady and he never dips.
yeah, he's consistent throughout. This time, just like Kamaru Usman, Leon Edwards too, he was consistently lackluster. He was consistently sleeping.
Leon
Was,
Yes.
yeah. And Belal, kind of like when Strickland beat Izzy. You know, you walk in there with a game plan and you see it working, you're going to build confidence. Well,
Belal was pretty confident. Once he had that first takedown in the first round where he picks
he smashed
Leon
him.
up and
Yeah.
smashed him on the ground. And then later, I think it was the third round, smashed him on his head.
Yeah.
Second or
If you're
third. After
sleepy, you're going to be a little bit more
after
sleepy
he
after
smashed
that.
him on the head, I kind of was like, it's over. Like,
Yeah.
Leon kind of didn't have any, I don't want to say he didn't have any fight, but he didn't have any fight in him.
But he really didn't have any fight coming. I mean, with the exception of the last minute and a half of the last round, when he actually cut Belal, he actually did the most damage in the whole fight.
It was the
between
most
either of
aggressive
them.
we saw the whole fight.
It's like,
He
dude,
lost
if you had
30
done that in the
seconds.
first round, or like you had done, you know, if you'd have fought similar to how you were fighting in their first fight, where Belal was kind of on the back foot, not able to walk him down, and Leon was confident. I don't know. Maybe did Belal get in his head?
But he might have. But it shows you how much
Belal was talking
Belal's
shit for a while too.
Belal's been talking shit. That's what he had to do to get this fight. I mean, say what you want about him. He had what, 10
12. They were both on like 12 undefeated because
undefeated. They had the no
no
contest. So he had like 10
against each
fights
other.
unbeaten. He's been deserving of the title shot. Didn't get it. Finally gets it, and he took the most of it. And congrats to Belal.
And he did exactly what he said he was going to do.
He did exactly. Well, he said he was going to knock him out.
I was going to say except for the knockout, but he walked
He
him
did
down.
exactly what, if you thought Belal was going to win, you thought he was going to do.
Yeah, I did say Belal decision.
Yes.
I mean,
And
I think
that's-
between the two of them, they've got like 5 career knockouts.
Now let's listen, Belal. What you have next?
Yeah, I actually took a lot of time to write this one out. So, the first opportunity.
I think there's one name that
There's three
Is
names.
the guy-
There's three names that deserve it.
I think there's one that deserves it above everybody else.
Shavkat Rakhmonov.
Shavkat Rakhmonov, and that's the one
I'm gonna start with
undefeated,
him.
finishes everybody.
Third ranking.
And
in the
Belal ain't going to do
welterweight.
that to him.
6-0 in the UFC, 18-0 overall. He has 8 career KOs and 10 career subs.
Yes.
Finished everybody.
Finished everybody.
Okay, that's the third rank. Good option, fantastic option. I get it if they give it to him. Not mad about it at all. Next, Jack Della Maddalena. He's 5th ranked, 17-2 in his career. He lost his first 2 fights, which means he's 17-0 since.
Yes, I
Which
don't
is
think
nuts.
Jack's there yet, though.
7-0 in the UFC, and he only has 3 decisions in his career. So he's another finisher, another guy that's come in the UFC and kind of proven his worth. Or we can go with the superstar, ranked 7th, Ian Gary, who's 15-0, 8-0 in the UFC.
Oh, I got one
with
that-
7 KOs, 7 decisions, or 1 submission.
I got one I think that's more likely than all of them except for Shavkat.
Who?
Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman called him out. He's there. He's gone. He took the late notice fight against Hamza at the higher weight class, lost, but you know the UFC loves that.
Yep.
Former champ,
They love a company man.
company man. He can has a little bit of a draw. I think he matches up. It's kind of a bad matchup for Belal because they're very similar in how they fight. But I also think for Belal, it's a more winnable fight. All right, easier path
definitely-
to victory than Shavkat.
It's definitely the most winnable fight out of
And
the
it's
3
the one
names
if you're
I just listed.
And if you're Belal, like the one that's going to get you
Because you want at least one defense, right?
the most attention and everything, it's Kamaru Usman, the former champ. You fight him.
And I'm not saying you want one defense like, hey, you can't defend
Well,
it, so
no,
just give you an easy one.
the old adage is you're not the champ until you defend it once.
Right, but that's what, yeah, that's exactly right.
But I think Shavkat's the one to make. I think he's the most deserving.
He's tested himself.
And
He's
I
never
think
lost a fight.
That would be a hell of a fight. Shavkat versus Belal Muhammad.
I like letting Belal have his vacation time. You know, he did everything he wanted to do. He walked
He
in.
hasn't fought in a while though, so I don't think he's going to take too long.
No, give him some time though. Make him, fight
Fight at the end of
November,
the year.
December, whatever. A few months, whatever. But Belal, good job to you. I think Shavkat Rakhmonov is the next question that needs to be answered for the UFC welterweight title. But yeah, check out Dubby for 10% off your entire order. Split decision.
W.GG.
Dubby.gg. Let's go.